Hey everyone, just waking up. We just let the vehicle run for a little bit and now it's time to get on the road. It's very early. Gotta take the park and brake off. Just let the windows defog for a little bit. Considering it's the end of October, it was a very warm night. Didn't get below 45 degrees. Today's supposed to be a pretty warm day. Now it's time to get on the road. Looks pretty beautiful out. Look at all these nice birch trees. Just headed down this road last night to park and sleep. There was like an old bridge right there off to the left. Still waking up a little bit. We'll be back to the main road in a few minutes. This road is really pretty. I didn't see it last night when I headed down here because it was dark. Do you see that? It didn't rain last night or anything. Look at this. Do you see that rainbow in the sky in the center of the screen? There's a little rainbow out here. It's actually very pretty out. Certain trees are still bright and yellow. It's the aspen trees that are still yellow and still have treetops looking nice. I guess the aspen trees around here must be really healthy. All the aspen trees in my area turned like brown. They never had good fall colors. It's kind of interesting to see the rainbow out this early. The sun's just starting to come up. It's about 8 o'clock. This time of year, the days are pretty short. Take a look at that tree to the left. That one is still green, amazingly. Yeah, so far this year, we only had one super deep freeze, and that was 2 nights ago. Other than that, it's been a pretty warm fall. Wow, the rainbow is getting stronger. Look at that. It's much more visible right now. Shouldn't have shut the camera off. We're already back down to the main road a couple seconds later. Now it's that time of year, there's not going to be many people out on the roads. It's that time of year, you don't want to get lost down one of the side roads because no one will probably go down it again before it starts snowing out. And look at this, it started briefly raining. There's only a 6% chance of rain today, but I'm happy to see a little bit of rain shower on the way up. It'll prevent the roads from getting dusty later on. I'd rather have a vehicle covered in mud than it'd be a dusty day, because dust will find its way inside through every little crack. It gets into every little crevice, any box you have, so that's a good thing. And also, I gotta take back what I just said. The tolls are still open on these roads until November 18th. So if you did happen to not come back out, I am checked into the wilderness, so somebody would know if I went missing out here, if I didn't come back for a few days after I hit it out. Get a little bit further out, the roads are in much better shape now. There's a few potholes, but other than that, they're pretty smooth. We can actually get up to good speeds now. Speed limit on this road's 45, and we can just about do it. Nice and smooth. Well, today was really supposed to be a dry day, but it's actually raining enough now that the road is actually shiny from it, and we might actually get a little slippery in a few areas from the mud. When you're out in the wilderness, I've always realized the weather forecast can never really be trusted, because out here there aren't any weather stations. You're going by like the neighboring city or whatever, and that can't be trusted because it's not the same elevation. It's really not the same anything where the weather stations are. I also realized out in the wilderness, it's almost always colder than any neighboring city says, because there's nothing out here producing heat, and there's also forest cover everywhere, which makes it colder. One time I came out here to go camping and I was expecting an 8-degree night. When I actually got out here, it got down to -11 that night. That's a huge difference just because of the trees. Whether it's summer or winter, it always is colder out in the woods because there's no concrete, asphalt rooftops heating up the area in the sun. So it's always different out here. We're passing a truck, pulling over. Give them plenty of space. That guy there probably just dropped off an excavator or maybe a log skid. Couldn't tell by the muddy marks on the trailer what it was exactly. Sometimes you can look if there's fresh mud and tell what maybe came off it. The road's actually starting to get a little soupy right now. I can feel the mud occurring. As soon as you start driving through a little bit of sticky mud, it can drop your MPG pretty fast. This entire section of road here last year was underwater from the Beavers, and there's really like only 2 feet of elevation on the road, so they were able to get that one underwater pretty fast. We drained it. A couple days later, the issue was there again. It persisted for many months, but eventually the trapper got him. Today I was told by one of the rangers that the tank culverts that we often go to visit, the really big culverts that are made out of old fuel tanks, the beavers are going to be a problem there again, or they have been a problem. So I'm going there today expecting there to probably be a beaver dam before they get them trapped. Now that was always a problem a couple years back. They always had that road flooded until they eventually trapped them. It just happened every couple weeks. But at least that location, it took quite a while for them to build the dam back. Whoa, what was that? For them to build the dam back. Whoa, what was that? I'm gonna have to play that footage back. Something big was right there in the road. And look at this, there's a portable church. Is that what that is? Yeah, it is. It says the last tent of meeting. I think that's what the sign said on that little trailer. Yeah, I gotta play that back. There was like some creature with a big bushy tail. Is that some kind of big cat? We're gonna hop out for a minute and take a look at this location. We were back here earlier in the year. This road was flooding across at this spot, and all those ribbons you see up there hanging, I put those up earlier in the year because this was a location we couldn't do anything about. And the flags there let the guy with the excavator know there was a problem, and they eventually got. So, out on these roads, anytime there's a blockage I can't take care of, we flag it like that so the road crew knows what to do. See, this is how high the water level was. The Beaver dammed everything coming out of here. Everything from this swamp was crossing the road here and going in there. You can see all that sediment that was getting flushed out of the road because of the beavers. This whole area was underwater earlier in the year. You see the amount of grass. They drained this quite a few months back for that amount of growth. We haven't actually been out here since July. That's when I hung up all these ribbons. I remember back in July, that culvert, there was only a couple inches of it sticking out of the water, and there's actually more than one culvert. This one here looks like it has a little bit of a blockage in it, actually. Yeah, when we were out here doing this, I could only see a couple inches of this pipe, and look, that pipe's not even working now. And the debris we see here, That's not beaver debris. This is storm debris by the looks of it. Well, that piece is really wedged in there. Don't have the big high boots on though. Is that piece gonna get out of there? Yep, it was just wedged. It's still, wow, that's really sappy. It's a very sappy log. It's a very sappy log. Look at all that sap. And here's where the water's coming out. The excavator really tore it down. Yeah, this whole area, I was squeezing between trees to just get in here and take a look at it. Yep, you can see they cut down all this stuff to be able to get in here more easily. All right, everyone. Camera number 2 is going. Camera number 2 is looking at the exit of the pipe, because we're going to try to get some of this out. What do we got here, actually, before we even head over there? Got the big high boots on. Oh wow, this culvert is good. This one's just not gonna work. They have to come in here with like a telephone pole and jam it in there. This whole black pipe, that blockage goes almost all the way through it, what you're seeing there. Let's hope there's not too much debris in the other one, the primary flow pipe. That's secondary flow, only if this one can't handle it. But this was too much of a blockage to just leave. This pipe is gonna have to work come the spring thaw, so might as well get on it right now, because come the spring thaw, we won't really be able to do anything about it if it does happen to clog up like that. And the water I'm standing in now, it absolutely stinks. I'm stirring up some very stinky bubbles. Let's get that debris out of there that I was just working on. Wow, that has so much sap on it. Before we get the blockage, let's see if we can pull that up to the road. Heavy. That was a heavy one. Some of this is beaver debris, but I think storm surge put it here. Yeah, that's not structurally put together. Beaver didn't do that. Got a tree stump. Part of one anyways. Probably killed by the beaver from flooding everything. This culvert absolutely needs replacement. I don't know if you can see, the water's pretty clear, so maybe. The bottom of the pipe is all torn up from the excavator, but that's because whole bottom of it's rusted out. That pipe is past its life expectancy. they got to put a brand new one in, or eventually that's going to keep digging and start making the road sink. So we did good there. This water will be able to drop down now about a foot or so lower, which will help with frost heaving for the winter. So that's good. That debris will get pushed out the next big storm. It's currently just like this one. There's debris left behind on the inside that you can't do anything about without an excavator with a big stick. But we definitely increased the flow, which is good. All right, everyone. Time to get back on the road. I realized out here I'm getting much better MPG than I was last time. Even at these slower speeds, I realized that it was killing like 3 MPG. I had my spare tire on the roof because I couldn't have it underneath the truck anymore because I put a bigger gas tank that occupied that entire space under there. So I got a system now that puts it on the back like a Jeep. It made the MPG go down a lot, up a lot, and it also was quieter on highway speeds because you don't have all the air going through the treads on the roof. And I tried an aerodynamic like ramp. It didn't really work very well, so did that. All right, everyone. Camera number 2 is going. Camera number 2 is looking at the exit of the pipe. Hey, we actually got a little bit of colorful trees in this area. It looks beautiful. This is one of the smoothest logging roads out here. If it wasn't for the blind corners, this road you could easily get up to 50 or even 60 miles an hour. It's smooth as pavement. It's a very smooth logging road because there's just so many trucks that use this one main artery. There's actually a shortage of truck drivers out here because they have trouble finding people who are up for the job, because out here there's nobody around, sometimes even for days at a time. It's a very lonely place, and it also takes someone that's pretty tough to drive those trucks. Because especially in the middle of winter, if they get something like a flat tire, there's no one around. They're going to wait a very long time, or got to change it themselves. And a lot of times the spare tire on those trucks is between the trailer and the cab, or usually under the trailer, so it's covered in ice and frozen mud, so you're gonna have to get out in like negative 40-degree temperatures and chisel all that garbage off there. And there's also a ton of other things that can go wrong out here. A lot of people aren't willing to do that, so they actually have a shortage of drivers out here. But other than that, don't have to deal with traffic, wide open roads. Everyone else is required to pull over for you, so those kind of things are interesting. Yeah, this road is, I don't know if you can hear that. Really don't hear much of anything. This road is so smooth. Right here is a straightaway. I'm now going 55. It's a very smooth road in this area. But as soon as we get back up to these spots, you can't see over the hill. I'm not going to go over 40. Speed limit on this road's 45, actually. Not many people out today. The only people out right now are hunters. They said today that this week is called Cow Week. Just this week, from 8 in the morning until 5:30 p.m. is when they're allowed to go moose hunting. Just for this week only. Next week, they said, deer season starts. I just had to turn around because this is actually a very beautiful site right in here. This road looks pretty narrow. I don't think I'm going to go down it, but take a look at how beautiful the trees are. So bright and yellow. Those are called Tamarack trees. They are the only type of pine tree that is not evergreen around here. So they're turning yellow because they're about to drop all their needles for the winter. Looks pretty. Sky looks kind of pretty too with that sun. Crunch. Very crunchy running over all that goldenrod. Get back on the road. Actually got some good color here. Look at the trees. Really nice and bright yellow. I think even up over this hill we're going to have even more nice bright yellow trees. Definitely past peak, but not this type of tree. The aspen still looks really nice. That's what we're driving by right now. Look at that. Very pretty. Some of these trees look like they're not even to peak yet. This hill here kind of looks pretty. I bet it was very colorful. It looks like the whole hill would have been red a couple weeks ago. Alright everyone, we just pulled onto the road where the tank culverts are. We're about to find out once and for all, are the beavers back? Back in July, the beavers were at this location after 2 years of not being here since they were relocated. We're going to know around this next corner, are the beavers back? Let's see, is it flooded? Nope, not flooded. Hopefully the beaver trapper got out here. I was told there was a problem. I don't see any evidence of this flooding. I can see a lot of erosion here, but that's from 2 years ago. And look at all the ribbons that are still there from July that I put up. Let's go inspect before I shut the truck off. So 2 years ago, this whole area was underwater. That's why all these evergreens are dead. But back in the spring, there was a problem here. It does not look recently drained. I see a little bit of mud, but that's because we've had a lot of rain. River's been going up. But every time I put these ribbons up, those are actually my ribbons from 2 years ago, and these are my newer ones. That lets the beaver trapper know that there's a problem. So we got these huge culverts that are actually old fuel tanks, probably above ground diesel tanks to run logging equipment back in the day, but they're super thick metal, great for this. I see evidence down there of a beaver dam, but all clear. Unfortunately, this is actually a location I really enjoy unclogging. This is one of my favorite spots to do this because these pipes are smooth. They're just really thick. There's no corrugation. So once you get that dam a little bit deteriorated, you can usually make it wash out all at once, which is really cool to see. But you can see how big the beaver pond used to be. It used to be up to there. That's not a high water mark just from the river raging. Although when this rages like during the spring thaw, I'm sure all that's underwater anyways. But 2 years ago, the grass was literally killed up there because it was flooded for such a long time. And if the beavers ever come back, all they have to do is get some material. Once they get this water up a little bit and flood this land, there's endless material right there. You see all these really small aspen trees? Those are so easy for them to cut down and use. Aspen's a very soft type of wood, easy for them to chew down and build. They usually only use pine and evergreen when they're very desperate because it doesn't taste good. Beavers often, they like to go at a slow pace. If they're desperate, if their dam was just removed, they'll be right out in full force cutting down trees, building. But once they have a good pond, They slow down and they usually eat the bark before they add it to their dam. That's their food source. But they do not like eating pine trees. I don't think they even eat it, but they will use it if they're desperate. Everything's going good. I see a pile of debris here the excavator placed. See endless piles of debris that just got stuck along the edges that even the floodwaters couldn't get rid of from previous uncloggings. Well, good to see there's not a problem, but there are a couple other problems I drove by on the way here. I want to inspect and see if we can do anything about them. If not, we're definitely going to put up a ton of ribbons. So hopefully the excavator can get it done before winter, because there's some areas that are going to become a icy disaster if they're not taken care of. So that was good. I saw no evidence of the beavers there. So we can continue now. Yeah, I'm confident those beavers were relocated. But they were there. I made a video of this location back in the summer, July, I believe it was. They had like a 2-foot dam in there we removed. It was a fun one. There was actually enough water pressure to open both of the pipes. Winter's coming. This is an unseasonably warm week. Got nice warm weather these couple days, but next week it'll be very cold up here. So I'm making my rounds, trying to get some things done up here just before it starts getting super cold, when you don't really want to get in the water. But I've even gone and drained things when they're frozen, which is actually kind of fun to an extent, because it's nice to see the water cracking. I mean the ice cracking as the water drops. Alright, so coming back down the road, literally only a minute or two, we see a bunch of ribbons here that somebody hung up, and I can tell, you see how this road's pretty rocky here? This was all underwater. Beavers were causing a problem here, so I just want to pull over and take a quick look at it. We don't have to worry about log trucks in this area. They're not touching this at the moment. Yeah, this area is very rocky. I think it got washed out and they put this here with dump trucks to help get rid of the mud from the beavers. They always put the culvert pipes higher up in the road because they want it to flood somewhere else, so they don't have to replace a pipe that's lost into the woods. So I hear water falling. There might be a dam. No, I guess not. I guess the excavator just didn't get it all the way, maybe. I gotta get in there and look though. Yeah, the excavator just didn't get it completely. But that's still got no structural integrity. That'll get hit by the next storm. I can see the water line here. This area had very deep water, probably for a good amount of the summer. It started raining again. All right, there's a beaver issue right here. I don't know if we can do anything about it, but I definitely want to stop and see what's happening. And there's no ribbons or anything. Well, there's a couple actually. Yeah, look at the water just crossing the road. Where's the pipe? I think the pipe is up ahead, actually, where the ribbon is. There's an active beaver issue here, because I'm sure the excavator got this while they were on the road. I'm not confident we can do anything. The pipe is gone. It's underwater too deep. Usually those ones can't be done, but we're gonna get at it and look. Back in the spring, it was the best time I've ever seen for unblocking things, but now it seems like all the issues we find are just so severe, we can't do anything about them. Right here we got all the water going down the road to the next pipe, but it doesn't matter because most of it's crossing anyways. At least the road's rocky enough where it's not washing out, but as vehicles keep passing through this, especially next week, it'll start getting cold. This is going to make ice in both directions, every vehicle that goes through it. So what are we dealing with for a pipe? And I've definitely been to these pipes before. Yeah, look, see how dangerous this would be to actually get going? It's a 6-foot diameter pipe, and yeah, that's not good. Usually if there was a little bit of it showing, I'd probably get down inside it, drop down like a foot or two. And this doesn't look like a big spot. Probably wait half the day, come back, do a little more. But I've learned over the years, if there's active beavers, it's kind of pointless. Because if they're determined enough, and look at all the trees they have in the flooded out area, give them a few days, it'll be back to the same exact thing. So unless you know they're gone, it's kind of pointless. Yeah, look at this. There's the top of the pipe. And if I zoom in, that's another huge issue. You see? Yeah, I don't see a single blockage there. If the dam was on the end, you'd see a big foundation of it, big pile of mud. Yeah, this dam is somewhere in the middle of it, which makes it even a bigger problem, because I can't just stand on the end and get a little bit of it there. When you're on the inside, you always risk the whole thing washing out. That's why if it's completely sealed, I'll never do it from the back end. But if you have a little bit, like it was only occupying maybe half the pipe, I'd do it from the inside. It's a huge pipe, a lot of space, and if it starts moving, just walk right over it before it has time to run you down. But I just want to take a quick look in here, because I'm wondering how far in is it? Yeah, it's kind of towards the end, but it's not all the way at the end. And noticing how all the vegetation there's dead. This has been flooded a while, because that type of tree that grows in there usually keeps its leaves pretty late into the season. You can see that's eroding the edge of the road. Not terrible though. They built the road very well, which is a good thing. All right, so this is only a minute down the road. See that ribbon there? We've been to these pipes in the past. There's no blockage at the moment, but usually after the spring thaw, there's log jams here. Giant piles of debris that get washed down in the floodwaters, and sometimes even reinforced by the beavers. Here, there's another issue that I want to take a look at. Maybe we can do something, maybe not. I have no idea, but I want to park up here. I'm just looking for the pipe. It's probably the high spot. No, it's not. Maybe this next spot. I definitely can't see the... Well, we're gonna have to get out and look for it. Am I seeing it? Nope. I do not see this pipe, so we gotta pull over, leave space for someone else to pass, and we gotta get out and investigate this. All right, so let's go for a little walk. Is there something on my lens? Yep, there must have been. It's much more clear. And it's starting to rain again. But at least it's warm out. Fairly warm. It's like mid-50s. Forecast today it was like almost 70, but like I said, it's always colder than they say it's going to be out in the wilderness with all the tree cover and stuff. I hear lots of happy birds. In this area reeks of rotten wood from the beavers. I see lots of sticks in there that have been chewed by the beavers laying in the water, which will become dam material. They chewed all the bark off as they eat it. And look at all these little trees in the water. They have so much building material. If they're not relocated, they're just going to keep becoming a problem. And I'm not noticing any ditch anywhere a culvert might be coming out. Oh, it's right here. Here's where the water's supposed to be going, but instead it's all, most of it's actually continuing down to the next pipe, so it's not a huge problem. This might be a new culvert. See how it's sinking where it wasn't compacted a lot, or it's a crushed plastic one. It is plastic, maybe it's crushed. Just looking at the ditch, there hasn't been a good flow through here in a while. See how it's kind of grown in? None of the leaves or debris is pushed out of the way. Just want to take a look in here. Still got the big high boots on just in case. I can't see all the way through. It's too dark, but I don't think it's completely crushed. It is a deep one though. Yeah, that pipe's lost. Hopefully the excavator can come out here and do something, but it's another pointless thing. The beavers will just plug it back up They got to be relocated. A lot of these companies, as soon as there's a little layer of ice across it, when the beavers can no longer float materials, they will then unclog it when they know the beaver can't do anything about it, which likely will lead to the beaver's death. But also, I don't know if they live here or not. The way it's overgrown, it might be a secondary pond. If it's a secondary pond, the beaver won't be affected, but if they actually have a lodge and live there, the low water will allow predators into their lodge, and that will be the death of them. But the cold weather will not kill the beaver. They can go swim around underneath the ice. Doesn't affect them. They come out, walk around in the snow, although they prefer not to. They will if they have to. I've seen them on cameras in the winter. But yeah, a lot of times the logging company will just drain it as soon as there's a little bit of ice on the pond, because they know they can't build back, and they know the beaver will probably be eaten by predators. We just pulled over on this section of road now. Got another beaver issue. Not flooding the road yet, but the water table's very high because of them. It's flagged, so that means the beaver trapper will be coming out. This is one massive pipe. Look at that giant dam right there. The water drops off fast. It's probably up to my chest right there. It's a pretty wide section of road. And here's where the pipe comes out. It's like a gigantic 6-footer. Be awesome to see them open things like this. And you see the beavers, they couldn't get the water deep enough, so they created a whole dam right here now to make it even higher. And that's very fresh. Very fresh. And when it rains, the water's higher. See, it's eroding the edge of the road. Goes down there to the next culvert pipe. And because that water level's so high, it's going to create frost heaves in the ground. When the ground freezes down to that water table, water's going to expand and really damage the road. Looks like people have actually been driving through here for fun, maybe even smashing that, or maybe a truck's been going through there to like push the dam out of the way, destroy it in that sense. Getting windy fast. Right now we're at the spot where we camped underneath the logging bridge back in the winter. This road actually seems a lot better than I remember. Maybe it's kind of flattened out from people driving down here. But this is where I pulled my sled with all the supplies out onto the frozen river. And this actually looks like a very doable road to drive down here onto the riverbank. I don't know if it was people fishing or camping. At some point when it was really dry out, someone had a fire pit there. This would be a good spot to just camp. There's even room to even turn around something like a camper. When the river's low like that, as long as there's no rain in the forecast, tons of space here for camping and driving around. It's getting windy. I feel like the river was a lot deeper when we were out camping when it was frozen. As the water gets deeper, it's not as turbulent, it seems. It's actually warm today, but this area will probably be snow covered in just a couple weeks. All I can smell down here is manure. It smells like a farm. It's all the abundance of moose poop. I usually don't see log trucks around here in the summertime, but they're very active in this area when it comes winter. This sign right here, these always kept getting broken off. They used to screw them right up here, but now here's their new design. That was actually broken down there. And it wasn't broken, but it was like spun around, and I just spun it back up. Haven't passed a car in like 4 hours, so I doubt anyone's gonna come around now. But right here is where we camped back in the winter. Feels weird that it's actually warm here. Got down to -11 that night. Yeah, see, there is a lot of space there on the river bank if somebody was to pull down there and camp. Never walked on the other side of the river. There's lots of groundwater along the entire bank, flowing out everywhere. It's getting windy and stormy fast. There's actually good trail access here, probably from people fishing. Over on the other side, maybe they did this on purpose, so if it gets hit by the snowplow, they can just whoop. But still, it's so far off to the side, that's gonna quickly get grown in. See, when they installed them, they cut this, and look, it's already tall enough that it's blocked when this tree has leaves. The hood's covered in pine needles, and I've only been parked here for maybe 20 minutes. The wind is real picking up. Yeah, the deck on this bridge, it looks brand new to me. I think they replaced a good amount of it. At least part of the railing is new. Maybe it's just smashed from people recently hitting it. This bridge always bumps around and makes noises driving over. I think this is our first loaded log truck we've seen all day coming. I wonder if it's going to be dusty. I'm going to close the vents. Yeah, it's a little dusty. Not too bad though. That's very loaded up. Yeah, that's a good amount of dust. Look at that. And right back a minute ago, it was awesome to see a gigantic pile of metal culverts. It's awesome to see this area is no longer using the plastic ones that fail within a year of installation. Hey, look at this. There's a tree in the road. And that was not there when we just drove down this road like an hour ago. And it literally just fell. We passed that log truck like a couple clicks back, and that other truck pulled over. I think I can break some of that out of the way, at least enough to get around it, because that's dead. I think I can break that pretty easily. And I do have a little handsaw, worst comes to worst. It's also dead. I could pull it out of the way. Got a lot of options. Let's see if I can do anything about it. I'm glad that wasn't that bad. I don't know if anyone can tell in this video, but I've been exhausted all day and I just cannot wake up today for some reason. Had coffees, I've been snacking all day, I just can't gain energy, but at least enough room to get by it. That thing is very, like, what's the word for it? Stretchy, I should say. If I tried to pull it, I feel like it would snap. Crunch. Well, and I'm dragging something. And I've determined many times it's not even worth bringing a chainsaw out because every time I have it on me, I never need it. I literally only need it when I don't have it. That's the way it works. Now here's something I want to get out and show. They have a big pile of fill here, so they might just temporarily fix this until the spring. But this is a culvert pipe I showed years ago. The entire bottom of it was torn up because it was just so rusted out. I mentioned in a video a while back, out here they don't have gravel or anything. They just dig up shale, and it breaks so easily that they can just smash it with the bucket of an excavator. It's also very sharp if you have thin or bald tires. They must have ran out of tape, so they used some masks. Wow. I guess I should have stopped earlier. Less than an hour ago, there was a hole here. So yeah, they're just patching it for the year, but this sinkhole will be back. The entire pipe needs to be replaced. See how it's sinking? Every time the river gets high, it's washing it out. You can see there's a lot of foot traffic from people coming to look at it. The bottom metal of the pipe, yeah, you can even see the water pouring over it. It's pouring over a piece of the pipe it's like peeling up the entire bottom, allowing the soil to wash into the pipe and then out. So the problem won't go away until it's completely replaced. Here's a little closer look. See, the entire bottom is kind of peeling up, and not just here. It only peeled up a couple feet, but the rest of it is just covered in holes, and that's how the soil washes in and then out. I just came in here to wash my hands and brush my teeth before it gets dark out. Just got out to check this out. It looks like some erosion to the road, probably from the culvert being clogged. Water goes up and over it, washes it out. But it looks like it was clogged because of silt. If there even is a culvert here, they might be planning on putting one. Yeah, I don't see one at all. That's gonna be filled with silt again though. That big hole is gonna act like a dam. And there's a log truck coming. I think there's enough space, but I gotta pull over a tiny bit more. Just wanted to see what the digging here was about. They might be putting in a culvert, or they just pulled out some stuff to fill the road with, but that's pretty muddy. Usually they'll bring fill out. And that log truck, it's gonna be a bit before they even get out here. I can hear it. Their engine is so loud on that truck from all the weight it's pulling. Oh wow, this thing's very loaded. It's way above height restrictions on regular roadways. Here it comes. Look at that. Alright. I could hear that truck from far away. Heard it as soon as I got out a minute ago. Looks like maybe in the winter they'll be doing some more logging on this area, because you see right here they're making like an entrance to the left. They just put a no, they didn't even put a culvert in there. So I think they're opening that road up for the winter, maybe temporarily. It needs a culvert though. See that drainage ditch to the left? It's headed downhill towards there. There'll be some erosion there if they don't put one in. Or maybe they're just hoping it freezes, they can get the logging done, and then first thing in the spring they'll just tear it back up and make it into a ditch. On this section of road, I can tell right here where all the potholes are. That water goes across it. Not too severe because there's not a lot of erosion. There's just evidence of the water. But right here, there's actually a good amount of erosion right here at this spot from water crossing. But why is that? It might just be the river getting high. There's a giant culvert pipe right here with erosion. Yeah, I see a big sinkhole opening up next to that pipe. I'm gonna turn around and get out and look at it. All right, just got out and marked it. We marked a couple other things earlier, and I didn't really show them. They weren't too exciting, but this right here seems pretty big. Also starting to wake up again. That's how I seem to be lately. Once it starts getting dark, I seem to be more active, and I don't know why. But this pipe is probably like that other one. It's probably got the bottom all torn up. It's probably gonna have to be replaced, I'm assuming. Sometimes there's a sinkhole just from it eroding the edge of the culvert, but it would typically be on the side it's entering. You see how high the water sometimes gets? The grass, everything's pushed over. There's times where I'm standing is way underwater, and I think that pipe might get overwhelmed. That's why right down the road there's evidence of it crossing over. It's pretty eroded. Okay, I'm not really seeing much damage. The bottom of that pipe actually looks good. When the water's high, it might be just eating away on the outside of the pipe because it wasn't compacted properly when it was installed years ago, and it took years to erode enough to sink. Or maybe the entire embankment, the rocks holding up the road, may have collapsed actually. Because that pipe looks good. I'm not seeing any damage on it. So they might just have to rebuild, find some big rocks to build it up again. Yeah, I think maybe, I don't know. It could have got pushed. The ground could have been soft. A big truck could have went there and it could have. I do hear a really loud engine. There is probably a loaded truck coming. It might even be on another road. When it's quiet in the wilderness, you can hear them so far away. There's wind, but if I camp out here and it's completely still and quiet, nothing making noise, you can even hear them 20 minutes before they even go by. Maybe about 2 miles further down the road, we didn't pass the log truck. I think it's coming in behind us, so maybe we'll see it while we're out. Found another one right here. Is this a pipe failing, or is it the embankment kind of pushed out? Someone put a stick in there, but I want to put ribbon around it. And I see where the excavator has gone down in the past to do work on it. Be cautious being that close to it. But here, you know how packed this must be from these heavy trucks? But it failed here. And I kind of want to know why. Still got the big high boots on so I can easily get down here and have a look. Oh wow, this is a cool culvert. Look at this. This is not a corrugated one. Now, that's either very old or it's reused from something. Back in the day, before corrugated pipes, it used to be sheets of metal that they would rivet together. But no, this is not riveted. This is something modern. Does anybody know if this is reused from something, or is it just a very creative thing a welder put together who works out here? Look at the heavy-duty ribs made out of angle iron, bent and welded onto it. Got the heavy cable, how it was probably placed into here. That is one awesome pipe. See that giant dent down there? It could have been installing it, but it's likely a frost heave. And the path of least resistance was into the pipe, denting it. Yeah, I think, this thing is this is an awesome pipe. This is so thick, the metal. Yeah, this will be here for quite a while. I love when they come up with creative ideas like this that'll be here forever. And you see the cable on the other side? It was probably put in with 2 heavy excavators. I doubt they brought out a crane, but there's another cable over there. When they placed it in, it's a beautiful pipe. I love whoever installed this one. Yeah, but it's just simply, it seems like it's pushing out through here. Or maybe there's erosion on the entire pipe because, you know, it's kind of hard to compact that bottom triangular part at the bottoms, because it's not always that easy to compact it in a half moon pattern. It's better than nothing. Unfortunately, there's not much vegetation to put things like that on. That truck might be catching up to us. I hear a loud engine again, but we'll probably be out of here by the time it shows up. They're driving pretty slow. Yeah, so look how big this stream bed is. With the grass pushed over, when this floods, it's kind of like a bottleneck where it builds up with a lot of pressure. I think it's just pushing out the edges. So who knows the extent of how far it might go, but it's not the pipe's fault. It's just they didn't compact it good enough on the edges. Something I love about being out in the wilderness is if I didn't stop here, I never ever would have noticed this. See this flattened out area? This used to be a log road decades ago. It'll be reopened someday. But there's roads on maps that don't exist anymore, and brand new roads that aren't on the map, so can never trust maps out here fully. We got some active logging here. This is where all those trucks must be coming from. Oh, I even see the log skid out in the woods moving around. Currently out in the woods there, they're not dragging a big log back, they're dragging a bunch of brush further out and to leave it somewhere so it can rot, like all the little branches they're bundling together and moving them. Looks like more logging going on down here. I've never seen this done before. This is actually a first. They're not leaving the entire ground littered with branches. They seem to be picking it up into little piles. And I've only seen that out west before to prevent forest fires. But the forest fires have never really been a problem here, but maybe they think it's going to become a problem. Because we did have all the Quebec fires literally only a couple 100 miles away at the beginning of the year that were out of control. They probably assume that could easily happen here, so maybe they're going to start putting it into piles now. Look at this area is getting some brand new drainage ditches. I can see a whole ton of groundwater leaking into it. Give that guy a wave. I noticed recently they've been doing a whole ton of grass planting so the ditches can firm up really fast. Obviously they can't do it now because typically you want at least a month and a half for grass seed to be able to grow enough, get a big enough root system to survive the winter. Because what happens if they don't plant grass that they've realized, or at least I've seen companies not do it, once it gets a heavy rainstorm or the spring thaw, which this one inevitably will have to go through without the grass, the erosion is bad because nothing's holding it together. All the soil eroding can eat away at the edge of the road, making it steep and dangerous. It also washes that into the ditches, filling in the low spots, filling in the culvert pipes, and then crossing over the road. It also helps wear down culverts, plastic ones that'll wear it out, the bottom of it, because it's like sandblasting it constantly as the water's flowing through with all the sand and gravel, and metal pipes will eat away the protective galvanization, promoting rust much faster than it typically would. Take a look right here how beautiful this grass looks. They just recently planted this after doing a bunch of drainage ditch work. You see there's a little bit of erosion there. You can even see water trickling. So the trickling water prevented the grass from ever growing, but that would be so much worse with all the rain this year if that grass wasn't planted. It prevented the ditch from filling right back in with little landslides. Yeah, you see how good that looks on this steep hill? The grass did a pretty good job holding all that together. That would be such a mess if that grass didn't start taking hold. Bunch of crows just took off. I recognize this area immediately. To the left is where we camped in the middle of the road in the winter when it wasn't plowed. This section of road is really beautiful. Look at all the pine trees turning yellow for the winter. So I now have it set up like a Jeep. Oh my gosh, I hope that's on camera. There's a giant moose that just walked off the road. Oh, look. Big moose. Like, I better get out of here. We still have another 25 minutes of hunting hours. I think he's good though, for tonight at least. I have a big straightaway in front of me and in back of me. He's not afraid of the horn. I see his tracks right here. Yeah, that guy needs some natural fear of humans. He's way too comfortable here. That moose was too curious to run away. But if someone was to legally go after the moose, they would have had to step 20 feet off the road like that, and that guy would have been gone. But maybe not gone fast enough. I keep forgetting that it is getting dark so early now. I was wondering why this guy's still working out here so late, but it's only 5:30. It's getting darker earlier and earlier. Pretty soon daylight savings will be over and it'll be getting dark around 4.